Hetapu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer, Grand Rising. This is Qesankh Kaparu with another video for you. And in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the concept of Ma'at and holistic thinking and why is that important. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. Don't forget, hit that like button. And if this is your first time to my channel, hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I upload recorded videos or go live. Now, if you want to know more about my spiritual teachings, I have 4 free ebooks. You can scroll down to the links below, click on any one of those links and download the ebook today and start reading. However, if you want to go deeper, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $5, and $20, and you'll get exclusive access to instructional videos on the spiritual, specifically the Kemetic spiritual religion, videos that teach how to meditate, how to do lucid dreaming, astral projection, how to hypnotize yourself to be more calm, to heal yourself, and all the other good things. And if you become a Patreon supporter now, I have a really great series that I'm doing on Patreon called The Cycle of Abuse and Ancestral Curses / Karma. So sign up and become a Patreon member today. You can cancel at any time. So I want to welcome all of you to this broadcast. And let me really, let me get into this subject because it really came to mind when I was online and talking to a gentleman who supposedly was studying spirituality. And people profess to understand Ma'at in the basic things of Ma'at is truth, justice, righteousness. And then you have a lot of women who don't live according to Ma'at, adapting that name, which is really, really horrible. But, Ma'at is a very, very high calling. You must understand. Ma'at is not theory, because what's happening right now is too many people are caught up in verbal discourse, in lectures, in theory, trying to pretend to be deep. And you have a lot of grifters on the internet. And what they're doing is basically they're like wordsmiths. They come on, they have good oratory skills, and they give you all this so-called deep knowledge. And then you walk away and they play into your emotions, feeling good, thinking this person is deep, but they have not created anything in their lives to better humanity as a whole. And that's a telltale sign of a Sebek trait, which has gotten the world into trouble. Sebek is left brain thinking versus Ma'at, which is right brain holistic thinking. The right brain is congregative. The left brain is segregative. The left brain is concrete. The right brain is abstract thinking. So many of the advanced technologies of the ancient world, and I say that to be 100% accurate, because we are taught that our ancient ancestors were primitive. No, they were very, very advanced, but they lived a different type of technology, which was based on the earth, vibrational frequencies, different dimensions, things of that nature. So when Western man goes to our ancient civilization, he's looking for circuits, wires, electrodes, and he doesn't find that. So he concludes that these civilizations were primitive. But our ancient ancestors thought holistically. Everything they created had to be in balance with the universe. Right now, we have oil spills. We have medication, if you take it, it has side effects that could kill you. We wouldn't do that in antiquity. Keep that in mind. And because we wouldn't do that in antiquity, that doesn't mean that we were primitive. We were very, very advanced. For evidence of this, I direct you to the pyramids. So I'm talking to these individuals online and social media because I often get on and chat, and they're all about talking about Ma'at, but nobody really gets to the heart of it. See, Ma'at is not just truth. That's where you fail. Ma'at is the living of truth. And how do you know truth? Truth is not dogma. Truth is not written down. That's why when Egyptologists tried to find a type of Bible in ancient Egypt, they could not. Because that's more of a Sebek thing. This is why you have people going to churches, and if it isn't written in a Bible, if it isn't dogma, they don't believe it. That's the left brain gone crazy. Too much concrete thinking. This is why in Egypt, this is why in Ethiopia, this is why in Atlantis, we lived truth. And what is truth? Not the writing down of laws. It is truth is relational thinking. Relational thinking. So you'll never get to the truth of something without understanding the context of it. And that's been our problem. Well, our main problem in society is the fact that we're caught up so much so in left brain thinking we're driving ourselves crazy. People of color are trying to adhere to a left brain world, and it's not working. Hatepu, the wandering sage. And then they wonder why we're failing in schools. Well, because the method that you've created is not for right brain holistic thinkers. This is why the church, the universities, all rely on verbal discourse, on lectures. That was never the case in ancient Egypt. In fact, they got that whole teaching method from the Greeks and the Romans of intellectual verbal debate. That's not how you arrive at truth. I believe what the Greeks were doing was you take a thesis and an antithesis, and in the middle is the truth. That doesn't work. That's the Hegelian dialectic. When you start doing that, thesis, and you create an antithesis, what you've now done, if you have now brought into being something that is anti, which is a left brain thinking. If I am good, then you are bad. No, our ancestors didn't think like that. That's why you have the ancient Chinese who are part of the NAK, N-A-K, the real Chinese people who are dark skinned, created a yin and a yang sign to symbolize the melding together of the good and the bad, the yin and the yang. These were not, in our eyes, contradictory elements, but complementary elements, a holistic way of looking at something. And the way we know that this left brain thinking isn't working right is look at the world. Sexism everywhere, racism everywhere, all these religions fighting with each other. The left brain has done that. It has set us up to fail. And it was never meant to take this much of a leading role. When you look at the emperors in the Roman Empire, they were psychopaths, bloodthirsty, sick, perverted. Now, when you look at the pharaohs and the queens of ancient Egypt for 10,000 years, no Egyptologist will argue this point that they were mostly moral people, righteous people, because they aspired to live Ma'at, not understand it in the theoretical perspective, not get good at lecturing and teaching, but to live the truth. And that's where we've gone wrong, horribly wrong. There's nothing in that Bible that can teach you proper breathing techniques to calm yourself, to lower your blood pressure, to kill the emotions. There's nothing in that book that teaches you meditation techniques to have you ascend to a higher dimension, higher level of spirituality, to get to the oneness. No, there's nothing in that book that teaches you that. It's just a book of parables. It's not a user manual. So you're left to, your own devices. This is why the world is such a wreck. Because you tell me thou shalt not kill and or lie or cheat. That's just a statement. It has no power. It can't stop me from doing what I'm going to do. Because if you have a society that's ruled by emotions, the reptilian and the mammalian brain, then you're going to act accordingly. So you can have those statements and go to church and say you believe, but still be criminal in mindset. Look at the major corporations. Look at the pharmaceutical industry. Look at the raping of Africa, of natural resources. All these things were created by people who profess to be Christians. Barack Obama bombing children. What kind of man is that? George Bush leading us into a false war under the pretense of weapons of mass destruction. Christian. Because those words have no power to change behavior. But when you take those ideas and you get into meditative state, into the ultimate state of consciousness, and visually see yourself acting in a moral, upright way, and you work on the prana, the breath, then the body and the mind will combine and you'll act righteous. Do you understand how the world, the Muslims, the Catholics, look at the Catholic Church, look at the Pope, look at all these pedophiles. They supposedly got the greatest book, the book inspired by God. They read it every day. They're probably more devout in terms of reading it and going to sermons and all that than anybody that we know, and but still they act in an immoral way. Do you understand? It was African people who venerated and created this idea of Ma'at. To understand that you are part of a bigger whole. See, Ma'at is the understanding of the bigger picture and how the pieces, individual pieces, fit into that bigger picture. That left brain, all it's going to do is segregate, label, define. And look how we've labeled things. They're saying, oh, there's 133 genders. That's the left brain going amok. And the left brain thinks in terms of opposites. The Hegelian dialectic. This is why you have only a two-party system, left and right. That's why we learn in school good and bad. Your enemy is not bad. Your enemy is there to help you spiritually grow. Your enemy is not black, white, male, female. Your enemy is the same as you, consciousness. And you both share in the same consciousness. Do you understand? That's how the right brain looks at it. The right brain is not looking at you and saying, you're black, you're white, you're male, you're female. It's going deeper than that, abstract thinking. So I want you to keep that in mind. Next time you're talking to these people who think they really got it down pat, they know what Ma'at is. Ma'at is relational thinking. That's why Ma'at is balance, reciprocity, the living of truth, not the following of dogma, not the reading of proverbs. That doesn't work. That has no power to change you at all. The power of the word, that's BS. Because if the word had power, we wouldn't have so many criminal pimp pastor ministers. And most of these ministers are criminals, preying on the poor while they have lavish houses. Hey, Wandering Sage, I answered your question in the last broadcast. I told you to look at 47, the hexagram 47, the hexagram 12. There's no benefit coming from that. So keep that in mind. That's why Ma'at is a higher calling. You know what I mean? Hey, how's it going? Let me see. Gentry. Okay. You say definitely not. Oh my God, if you see that, run for the hills. That is a corruption of Ma'at. Oh my God. You see what I'm saying? It's like these we're living in such a backward society that we idol worship. Ma'at is a real deity. And you must treat her with respect. And doing a tattoo is not respect. And that could inevitably cause problems in your life. Yeah, you're right. You're right, hon. I've seen that all too. It's like, I've even seen like the I-ching hexagrams on people. I was at a restaurant once and this guy came over and I was with another priesthood student and it was a vegan restaurant and he was the waiter and he handed us a cup of soup and on his arm was, I think it was the 10th hexagram, right? Which is conduct. And my priesthood buddy said, do you know what that is, right? He says, oh yeah, this is from the Chinese culture. He said, yeah, but that's a hexagram. It's the 10th hexagram. And you know what the guy said? He goes, oh, I didn't know that. So you just saw this design and thought it was nice. and had it tattooed on you, not knowing that it was part of a bigger whole system of way of living called the I-ching. I'm like, wow. And there are 64 hexagrams. So why did you pick 10? That's appropriate conduct, you know? Oh, yeah. You know, Sebek is not geared toward understanding holistic thinking. No, that's why we have all these wars. Sebek people cannot understand the concept of you as consciousness, as you part of, because look, you have to understand the Western man, he has to have everything written down and represented. Who is God in the Kemetic tradition? God is Amen, the hidden, that which cannot be perceived, that which cannot be heard, that which cannot be seen. Western man has a problem with that type of abstract concept. So they have to create in a visual representation as a white man with a beard. And then if I tell you there's no book of laws because truth is relational, they can't understand that concept either. So they have to create their own 10 commandments. They have to create a book, which is the King James Version, meaning there are many other versions, and King James was a pedophile. You don't need that book. It's not going to help you. It's just full of parables. That's all. And it contradicts itself. Oh, that's true. That's true to want to say. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah. Well, it's not, I wouldn't say, you know, they require too much concrete proof. There's an aspect to Sebek and the left brain that is skepticism, whereas Ma'at is optimism. Let me see this. Human beings reduce to symbolic superficial gestures and posturing on a virtual plantation where their own corrupted and compromised mind is the new slave master, so they won't even know they're bound. Yep. So I want you all to think about this. And the one said, I hope I answered your question, because that 47th hexagram is really telling you that you're going to go. It's going to cause some stress and some major stuff for you. You know, when I have job opportunities, if I like, I'll give you an example. Maybe this will best help you. When I have job opportunities, and I do, because I do consulting, and I get the 47 hexagram, I typically don't take the work, because to me it's a warning sign. But you leave it up to you. I mean, if you want to do your magic and your meditations to turn things around, go ahead, do it. Perfectly fine. God is just telling you what to expect. He's not telling you what to do, you know? So I want you to all tune into my Patreon series on the cycles of abuse and ancestral curses, karma, as I really get into the suffering that we have obtained during slavery, how it's caught in our DNA, and how we carry that over into generation to generation, in terms of abuse, and this is the more esoteric part about it, is these ancestral curses that we don't purge ourselves of, we carry on, and it creates in our lives what we deem and what we call as bad luck. And there's ways, like I said, to do that, to purge yourself of that, so you live a more successful and prosperous life. So I've already done 2 episodes, and I'm going to do the 3rd episode this weekend. So there's no reason for anybody not to be on Patreon to watch the series. And if it doesn't interest you, that's fine too. But your support on Patreon would be appreciated. Okay, but what did you think of the symbolism presented in the movie Nope, with the cloud being the antagonistic and the parasite? I didn't see Nope. I really have no interest in seeing that because I've heard so much about how boring it is, and so I'm like, I could pass on that. No need to apologize to one on the stage. No, no, no. You can ask the question anytime. No need to apologize. All right. So I want to thank you all for attending this real quick, short broadcast. And also remember to reality manifestation um, level 2 classes will be beginning. The cutoff date for registration is Monday. So if you want to really learn about how to manifest things in your life, including a mate and financial abundance, that's what we're going to concentrate on. This course is for you. It's a 4-week course. And everybody who has taken it so far loved it. So it's called Reality Manifestation Level 2. And you can go to the link. I'll put the link in this description box. In fact, let me put the link here if I can before I go. The link is Engineer Your Reality. Okay, so I'm going to put it in this chat box here so everyone can see it and sign up for the course. There we go. Cool. And again, it's a 4-week course. It's online, and I'm teaching it. So, and I'm very awesome. So anyway, hold on. Let me read this last comment. Neither did I. It put me to sleep the first time, but I made myself watch it since his target audience was the so-called woke. Watch it, brother. I think you will peep game and have some insight. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll check it out. See, I got to be in the mood for certain films. You know what I mean? Like if I'm like, oh my God, like I do love John Wick films, right? But if you got this latest one, it's like almost 3 hours. I'm like, oh man, I gotta be in the mood to spend 3 hours in a theater. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. So certain films I got to be like, all right. And I had a friend who I took to see 2001 Space Odyssey, right? And she actually wanted to see it. Not many people like that film. It's Stanley Kubrick's film. And I prefaced it and I told her, look, it's going to be boring. It's a long, boring film, but it's meant to be very symbolic, and it's like a space opera. So she's like, no, I want to see it. So I took her to it, and she did good. She stayed awake for half of it and fell asleep. I've seen that film like a million times, so I was awake enjoying it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's a tough film to get through. 2001: A Space Odyssey. So that's why I got to be in the right mindset to watch Nope. And I don't like, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like what's the director's name? It's not Keenan, is it? Jordan? Is it Jordan Peele? Am I right? You can correct me. I don't like, because I'm a writer, I don't like how he writes his male protagonist characters. They're very weak. And inevitably, they end up letting a woman take the lead and save the day. So I don't like that aspect. That's not a good film to watch with your kids or anything, because it sends the wrong message to the men, which is drop back. Yeah, Jordan Peele. Thank you, Jordan Peele. Yeah, it sends the wrong message. And I was okay with one film doing that. Hey, no problem. But then I'm starting to see a pattern with this, And I'm a guy who is loves to write strong leading female characters, but I don't also write weak men, and Hollywood seems to not know how to do the balance thing. Like balance it out, have a strong female and a strong male. The more boring the film, the more pearls and gems embedded in them. It's like everything else they do, it's by design to lull the target audience to sleep. Check out, I want you to check out Chinatown with Jack Nicholson. It's one of my favorite films, and it has very few. It has just a little bit of dialogue. It's mostly visuals, and it's an excellent film because it tells the story visually. So I love that film. All right. Um, so anyway, I want to thank you, and again, make sure you get on Patreon to watch that series and sign up for Reality Manifestation Level 2. It is open to everybody, so you don't have to have to attend the previous class or course. No, anybody can go to it, and you're going to learn a wealth of information on who you really are and the power you possess. This is Qesankh Ma'akaparu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, Amen Ra.